Hello, this video tells the story of I Promessi Sposi, an unlikely couple that gets married in the end. What I'm talking about is the combination of atonal music harmony with a tonal chord progression. An example composition, an orchestral cue, demonstrates how the all-interval tetrachord, an atonal pitch-class set, is juxtaposed with a Riemannian transformation chord sequence circling around C minor. You'll learn a set of techniques for achieving that marriage. You may want to learn about how to combine tonal and atonal harmony. The quasi-tonal element is a triadic chord progression based on Riemannian transformations, depicted as a path in the tonets diagram. From the collection of atonal pitch-class sets, we take the all-interval tetrachord and use some of its properties under transformation for the combination with the Riemannian triads. The process is demonstrated in a short orchestral composition. If you like this kind of tutorials, please subscribe to the YouTube channel or support the video production process through a PayPal donation or become a patron. You'll find the links in the description. First, you'll see the triadic chord progression with Riemannian Transformations. I'll use a set of 5 chords centered around C minor, shown here in staff notation. At the top you'll find the compound Riemannian Transformations that we will study in detail in a moment. Here's a list of 2 books on the subject. There is the theoretical treatment in the David Lewin book. The application in film music is discussed in the book by Frank Lehmann. A frequently used diagram in neo-Riemannian theory is the tonets diagram, where major and minor triads are depicted as triangles. You may want to watch my tutorial series on this subject. The example chord sequence voicing includes root and inversion position triads. Listen to this chord progression and follow the path in the tonets diagram. Now we'll analyze each triad pair. The progression contains several chromatic mediants. These are second-order compound Riemannian transformations. This implies 2 moves in the tonets, indicated by the label LP, which stands for leading tone parallel, and RP, relative parallel. The first example is the combination of C minor and A flat minor. The pair has one common note, here the pitch E flat. The chord type does not change, hence both triads are minor. And we find the chromatic mediant triad pair lying on one of the 2 symmetry axes in the diagram. These correspond to root movement by either 3 semitones, a minor third, or by 4 semitones, a major third. Listen to the first compound transformation. The second chromatic mediant instance is the connection between G major and E major. The root descends by the 3 semitone interval. The next Riemannian transformation type is a third-order compound and is called the slide transformation. The example is the connection between the A flat minor and G major triads, with 3 moves in the tonets diagram, the LPR path. These triads also share a single common note, the chordal function 3. With 3 moves, the chord quality changes from minor to major or the reverse. And finally, we have the hexatonic triad pair, the Riemannian transformation when connecting E major with C minor. This also is a third-order compound transformation, but without a common note. The root descends by a major third, 4 semitones. The triad combination yields a hexatonic scale with 3 symmetrically distributed roots and interval sequence 3 plus 1 semitones. Let's proceed with the atonal elements, the pitch-class sets. I'll summarize the fundamentals. Pitch-class sets are used in atonal music. These pitch-class collections from the chromatic scale may be shown in staff notation, as keys on the keyboard, or on the clock face-like pitch disc diagram on the right. The number of pitches in the set is called the cardinal number. Pitch-class sets may be classified with a Forte label. For a more in-depth treatment, watch my 5-part tutorial series on this topic. Here we see the example set 4Z15 with 4 pitch classes and the 6-element interval vector in square brackets. By the way, I'm still hesitating between English and American pronunciation, Z versus Z. Forte labels, set theory and properties are the subject of this textbook by Alan Forte. A practical tool is the Pitch Class Set graphical toolkit page on my website, where you may experiment with set properties, which is a great help in the composition process. There's a finite number of sets with a specific cardinal number. For example, there's a total of 29 4-element sets. A special type is the all-interval tetrachord, frequently used by 20th century composers. After a suggestion in a YouTube comment, I reread the relevant section from the David Schiff book on the music of Elliott Carter. For this set type, all elements in the interval vector have value 1. The example is the set 4Z15 shown here, which contains pitch classes C, D flat, E and F sharp, corresponding to numbers 0, 1, 4 and 6 in the pitch disc diagram. Let's have a closer look at the interval vector. The elements list the number of consonant and dissonant intervals in the pitch class set. For example, the first element counts the number of highly dissonant minor second or major seventh intervals, corresponding to either 1 or 11 semitones. We'll now verify that there is a single occurrence of all interval classes in the set 4Z15. We may transform this set by transposition or inversion. The latter property does not change the interval vector. Listen to the inverted set mirrored around the root C. The collection of sets with cardinal number 4 contains a second all-interval tetrachord. Sets with different pitch class units but equal interval vector are called Z-related sets. This is the case for 4Z15 and set 4Z29 shown here. In its primary form, with root pitch class C, the element numbers are 0, 1, 3 and 7. Note that the C minor triad is a subset of this tetrachord. Again, I'll verify the all-interval property of this set. The inverted set I0 contains the F major triad. That completes the separate discussion of the Riemannian and Pitch-Class Set harmony, and we proceed with the combination of the two systems. In that process we'll use specific set properties, the first of which is the use of a common interval between various set transformations. We may choose any interval class, but let's take the mildly dissonant major second interval between pitch classes C and B flat. We find this interval in 2 original and 2 inverted forms of both all-interval sets 4Z15 and 4Z29. Root numbers are indicated as labeled subscripts. For our composition, let's create a progression and a voicing from the 4 all-interval chord structures. Here we put the constant major second interval at the top and the other parts in the lower voices. One also remains constant, the other has a 6 semitone tritone leap. We repeat this process for the highly dissonant minor second as the common interval, here between pitch classes C and B natural. We obtain a different set of transposed and inverted all-interval tetrachords. For the chord progression, the constant parts are at the bottom, the moving voices at the top. The lead part has 2 descending semitones, but like the adjacent lower part, the 4 pitch classes form a segment from an octatonic scale. Let's look at another atonal harmony transformation option, this time increasing the number of pitches to 6, a hexachord. These are obtained by inspecting the interval overlap during the transposition operation for one of the all-interval tetrachords. Here we take the consonant minor third between pitch classes C and E flat as the case study. Again, the Pitch-Class Set analysis tool on my website may be handy to find all options. We choose the combination of the original form of 4Z15 on root B and the transposed form on root C for set 4Z29. The combination yields a hexachord, and entering the pitch class collection in the analysis tool, this turns out to be Pitch-Class Set 622, shown here in the pitch disc diagram. From the interval vector, note that there are 2 minor second, 4 major second and 2 tritone intervals, a total of 8 dissonant intervals. Next, we decide on a specific hexachord voicing. This implies distribution of the dissonant intervals and will determine the overall chord tension level. This subject, a classification of complex chord tension levels, has been discussed in a separate video on this channel. In the staff notation you'll find the overlapping minor third interval with a green and the highly dissonant major sevenths with red markers. Next we consider the major third as the overlapping interval. We obtain this overlap for various combinations of original and inverted forms, but for now we stick with the transposed original option. The result is this combination of 4Z15 and 4Z29. The resulting hexachord is Pitch-Class Set 6Z49. Inspect the interval vector and verify a total of 6 dissonant intervals. We decide on the hexachord voicing shown here. Be aware that the voicing will affect the overall chord tension level. As an illustration, here are alternative hexachord voicings with increased dissonant character, obtained through partial cluster voicing and exposed highly dissonant intervals, such as the major 7th and the minor 9th. Listen first to the Pitch-Class Set 622 alternative voicing. And here is the dissonant setting of 6Z49. We are now ready to create the example composition. We combine 2 harmony systems. The source elements are the 6-chord Riemannian triadic progression, the atonal 4-chord Tetrachord voicings with common pitches, plus the 2 hexachords. This diagram is an overview of the 52 measures long composition with 8 sections. The tempo is 84 beats per minute, the time signature 6/8 and the duration roughly 2 minutes. At the bottom you'll find the juxtaposition of Riemannian and Pitch-Class Set sections. The instrumentation is for orchestra, with instrument types listed here and main, melodic and other elements shown at the top. Let's have a look at individual sections and conclude with the full piece. The opening is the Riemannian chromatic mediant triad pair C minor and A flat minor. The instrumental form is an 8-note groove for harp, while cellos and double basses play pizzicato lower parts. I recently uploaded an introduction to Schillinger instrumental forms. Listen to these soft and tranquil opening measures. Then we insert an atonal section, the set of 4 tetrachords with the major second as common interval property in the top parts. There's the marimba groove, while constant and moving voices are distributed over pairs of horns and clarinets. Our earlier design choices guarantee a fairly smooth fit with the opening triads. In addition to the harmony, there are melodic elements. Here a motif with a blue note for bass clarinet and ascending melody snippets in oboe and flute parts. Section 3 returns to the Riemannian chromatic mediants. What's different here is the instrumental form for cellos that now play arpeggio patterns in a fairly low register. The blue note motif is now played by bassoon, while a pair of flutes perform 16th note arpeggio patterns in parallel thirds, derived from the basic harmony. The dissonance level is increased by continuing with the atonal section that consists of the 4 tetrachord progression with the common minor second interval. The orchestration contributes to the tension level. French horn and a shrill muted trumpet play the lower constant parts as neighboring notes in parallel octaves, while tremolo high strings perform the upper octatonic segments. In the fifth section we, for the first time, hear the full Riemannian triad chord progression in C minor, shown once more in the tonets diagram. This basic harmony is turned into instrumental forms. There are sustained notes in double basses and timpani. Divisi cellos play syncopated arpeggio patterns, and harmony parts are doubled in upper strings spiccato 16th note arpeggios. The orchestration density has increased in the middle part of this piece, with a melody for woodwinds and horns in parallel octaves. Section 6 takes a sidestep to a new root, pitch class E. It is a transposed version of the chromatic mediant triad pair. The 8-note groove in 6/8 meter is played by low woodwinds and brass, accompanied by 16th note 2-part and doubled arpeggios for high woodwinds and strings. The next section returns with the full set of 5 Riemannian triads. It is a tutti climax with brass stabs and sustained notes, a kind of dominant pedal point, in low brass and strings. This is accompanied by 3-part arpeggios in high woodwinds, with doubling over 6 parts. The melodic element in this climax is a stepwise ascending scalar pattern for unisono horns. The piece nears the end, and we insert the 2 atonal hexachords, with the minor and major third overlap and the fairly mild dissonance voicing discussed earlier. There's another set of steps with accents for woodwinds and brass. First we hear hexachord 6-22 with the minor third C-E-flat interval, then 6-Z-49 with the major third between C and E natural. Note the contrast in dynamics and tempo. The full example composition is presented as an annotated reduced score to be read along with the MIDI markup. Production details, such as virtual instruments and effect plugins, will be listed. Let's summarize this tutorial about the combination of Riemannian and Pitch-Class Set harmony. Between sections with Triad transformation chord progressions, we inserted atonal, all-interval tetrachord and hexachord phrases. We may control the harmonic quality, dissonance and overall tension level by selecting specific properties of transposed and inverted pitch-class set combinations. Here we used combination options that focused on common major and minor second pitch classes and overlapping minor, major third intervals. The orchestral example demonstrates the combination potential and various instrumental forms. In the comments, let me know what you picked up from this tutorial. I do welcome support through PayPal donations, while companion material is available for my patrons. I am happy to report that the 3000 YouTube subscribers milestone has been reached last week. Visit the website for more content, tools and ebooks. Thanks for watching and see you next time.